All right, and a good evening to all of you. I am forecaster Nick Dunn here with a severe weather threat update. We're going to be kind of discussing what to expect here for the rest of the overnight hours tonight. I am pleased to have meteorologist Kyle Adams with us tonight out of the Hancock County area. Zach Batten is very close to the Ohio-Michigan border. We'll check out his stream here in just a couple of moments. And I've also got Owen Fritz out of Sandusky County. We're going to kind of give you a broad update as to what's going on right now. We've got some severe thunderstorm watches in effect. We've got some warnings that are close by. So we've got a lot to talk about here, but we're going to try to keep it short and brief because we do expect some warnings to start to be issued here probably within the next hour or so, give or take. So I'll give everybody just a couple of seconds to share this around. We've already got hundreds of you in here, so if you need to share this around anywhere, please do so. And we'll kind of get things going in just a couple of moments. But while we're waiting for a couple people to tune in, I'm going to bring in Kyle here for just a second. Kyle, we've been talking about this now for a couple of days. And now it looks like the arrival of storms just about an hour or two away from most of us.
Yeah, right now we're looking at these storms probably moving into northwest Ohio. I mean, they're already starting to move into northern Indiana, and there are several severe thunderstorm warnings. And probably, as you mentioned, Nick, by about 11:30 or so, probably 11:30, moving into parts of northwest Ohio. So, that'd be Toledo and over towards Williams County, and then the extreme part of northeastern Indiana, and then eventually to the south toward Findlay and Hancock County and Lima and Paulding and Putnam County there, Van Wert County, so eventually toward Mercer and Auglaize County as well. So I think for all of us here in northwest Ohio, talking to me here, where our window for these storms is going to be between about, I would say, 11:30 until probably 1:30 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah, I think that's a general synopsis and a good thing, and a good timeline for you guys. And Zach, I'll turn it over to you if you can still hear me. I know it's windy at your location. I'll go ahead and pull up your stream here for just a second here. If I can actually see if I can actually get that to switch over there correctly. My apologies. I thought I had that. Let's go ahead and bring that up now. And let's try that again. There we go. Zach, I'll let you go ahead and take over. What are you seeing where you guys are at, and where exactly are you guys?
Right now, we are a little bit northeast of, I don't know if the stream will catch that. That was really nice. A little bit northeast of Pioneer, almost right on the Ohio-Michigan border. Wind has started to pick up. It's definitely right now out of the south. So it's kind of feeding right into these storms. Lightning picking up. So far, we've seen a few really good flashes. I don't know if the stream will pick it up because it is still kind of far away. Fantastic. Yeah, we're just kind of hanging out, waiting for the storms to kind of dive southeast. There's a good chance where we're sitting, we're naturally in where it looks like the line hasn't quite filled in yet, so we might end up moving back east a little bit. But we're kind of hanging out, waiting for the storms to continue to develop and see where we need to go.
Awesome. Thanks for that, and I'll turn it over to Owen. You're in Sandusky County. I know you guys are kind of preparing for some activity up in that neck of the woods. What are you guys preparing for up there?
Well, good evening to you, Nick, and good evening to everybody. We are preparing for some severe weather. There's a few things that, and I kind of echo what meteorologist Kyle Adams just said a few minutes ago. We're looking at that timing. Some of those storms right now are up in Monroe County, so just over the border. We're looking at those, and they're returning a little bit of a TVS signature. But I think tonight we have that low-end tornado threat. I don't think it's really going to be a high-end tornado threat as kind of we thought earlier. These seem to be more of a linear fashion. Doesn't mean that one can't be out of the question. There's still a chance for an isolated tornado, but I think that threat is lower, and it's getting lower, kind of what I'm seeing. But if we do get one, it's possible, but I think the overall threat is a lot lower. I think what our main threat, and I think everybody would agree with me on this, is that it's going to be the chance for damaging wind gusts and large hail. I think large hail is the number one factor, but damaging wind gusts, and because you can see these storms as they're starting to line, they're kind of being in that linear shape, they're lining out just a little bit, so I think you're going to see a lot of straight line wind damage that's possible, and then large hail. I know all across northern Michigan right now, as this is traipsed across northern Michigan and it's coming to its south, we're seeing inch to inch and a half hail, and as we start to pick up, and as I always have said, and I think Kyle would agree with this as well, we are getting into that time where I call it the prime time, if you will. It's kind of showtime over the next couple hours. It's going to, the sun is basically set. The atmosphere, I think, is at its most unstable point in the next couple of hours, so we have to wait and see what happens. Right now, that severe thunderstorm watch is up for Michigan. and it stopped at the border. I wouldn't be surprised to see that extended to northwest Ohio over the next hour or two. I'm sure they're going to have to do something and continue on with that severe thunderstorm watch. So I would expect to see that, traipse down into further part of Ohio. We already have one in Ohio. I don't know what I'm talking about. But even the further, I was getting confused looking at something else as we go through the evening hours, Nick.
Yeah, you guys speak of that severe thunderstorm watch, and I want to show that now. So we're going to stop the radar. If you're highlighted here in yellow, so this is going to include places like from Jay County, Indiana, to Hardin County, over to Knox County, up to Mahoning County, and points north. This is a brand new severe thunderstorm watch that was issued within the last hour or so, and this goes until 3 a.m. And Kyle, the main hazards from the Storm Prediction Center, the strongest storms, it's obviously not said that every single storm is going to produce this, but the strongest storms, maybe up to tennis ball size hail. That's no surprise. They've had that. That's potential for significant hail greater than 2 inches in diameter through the day. They maintain that, and max wind gusts to 75 miles per hour through 3 a.m. Based on what we're seeing on radar, I think for the most part that seems to be a pretty general consensus. And they did mention obviously an isolated tornado possible, but kind of interesting to see that large of hail. We don't see that very often in our neck of the woods here across the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes.
No, in kind of what Owen was saying earlier, like we have a couple of hour window here, and the storms that are in southern Michigan right now, and even parts of northern Indiana, right now those storms are honestly, I think, in the best environment favorable for the highest amounts of wind shear, and as they continue to drop towards the south and east, they're going to slowly be moving out of that more favorable wind shear environment. So as Owen kind of said earlier, they're going to transition into more of a straight line wind threat probably by about midnight or so. So yeah, I would say for the next couple of hours, as Owen said, with that instability in place, and as they slowly track southeast, yeah, we could see hail, upwards of 2 inches in diameter, golf ball size, ping pong ball size, however you want to classify it, large hail, right? And then winds upwards of, I think you mentioned, up to 75 miles per hour. That's not certainly out of the question. I would hope that would be pretty few and far between by the time it gets here in northwest Ohio. But again, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
I love it when a meteorologist agrees with me. I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. For all of you watching, too, I got some comments there. What you're seeing on the right-hand side of your screen is Zach Batten, and he is near the Michigan border. I know you can't see, except every once in a while you're seeing some lightning flashes. So that's what you're looking at on the right-hand side of your screen there. So just to clear that up, but on the left-hand screen, obviously live radar. And as we move through the overnight hours again, I just think it's going to become more of that straight line wind and that linear threat. Maybe an isolated tornado. I think we could possibly see that, but I think that threat is starting to diminish a little bit, and that's a good sign for the overnight hours. But basically, the bottom line, I think, is you must have a way to receive warnings as we go through the overnight hours, and make sure if you're going to bed, you have a way to get a warning. Maybe pull the car in. I don't know if you want some dings on your hood, but potentially we could see. We're getting reports of 1.5, like 1.5 seems to be, or 1.5 inches seems to be the average right now. It's coming in from these Michigan storms as they're tracing across, moving to the southeast. Nick?
Yeah, if you guys wait just a couple seconds, you're going to see a pretty good lightning flash on the stream there from Zach. So they're kind of looking outside from their shield there. And Zach, is that camera inside the car, hopefully, and not outside the car?
That camera actually right now is outside the car. We're a pretty good distance from the storms, really, so we're not worried about the lightning reaching out and touching us. And it's nice and dry, so we've got a pretty good view where we're at.
Awesome, good stuff. And so again, guys, this is kind of where we're standing at right now. So we kind of heard everybody kind of give their broad update. We do have a warning now that's in Williams County, Ohio. So that's our first warning of the evening. So we'll stop and talk about that for just a minute here. And then, again, we just came live for a few minutes. Wanted to kind of reset the stage for you, let you know what to expect. As we get past midnight, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, the storms will shift into southern Ohio more. So I think we will see some more watches issued at some point in the overnight hours, but it's not going to be right now. So this watch goes until 3 a.m. And to be quite honest, for most places in the watch area, And we think that storms should be out of the places like Lima and places like that before 3 a.m. based on what we're seeing here. And we're going on 10 o'clock, and storms are already getting a couple warnings now approaching the Ohio, Indiana, Michigan border. Obviously, one into Ohio, so we would hope that by 3 a.m. things would kind of be calmed down just a little bit there. So this warning for Williams County that just got issued, this is for up to 1.5-inch hail. That's that flashing yellow polygon that you see on the screen. And Zach, that's actually for your location there. There's Pioneer. It sits in far northern Williams County. So hopefully you guys looks like you have a little bit of time yet before anything comes to you. But that warning goes until 10:45. 1.5-inch hail, winds to 60 miles per hour. The wind, not necessarily overly severe. That's right on the borderline threshold. Remember, it's 58 miles per hour. The hail, that's obviously a little bit greater than where we would like to see for severe hail. It's sitting at 1 inch. So we're looking at closer to like ping pong ball size hail. That's obviously going to leave some dents in your car and things like that. So get that car in the garage, move indoors, and just kind of keep away from the windows. And Zach, I'm seeing a little bit of an increase in lightning where you're at, so that's fairly common, seeing as how you guys are getting closer to that. But guys, what do you think about this line begin to fill in a little bit? We know that the Storm Prediction Center has noted that they do expect this to kind of become more of an MCS kind of event, which stands for Mesoscale Convective System, which I would think we would see a transition to more of a damaging wind threat. We will have to see. But what are your guys' thoughts on this filling in just a little bit more? And Zach, I see you just turned on your light there, so it gives us a little bit more perspective. But I think it might be Brian there stepping out in front. But what do you guys think in terms of what we might see in terms of this filling in a little bit more? Anybody can kind of take that one.
Kyle?
Yeah, sure. No, I think it's definitely it's going to fill in. I mean, right now you see a little bit of a break between where that warning is in Williams County and over towards the storms near South Bend. It'll fill in, and as you mentioned, it's going to transition into a straight line wind type event. I think the threat for large hail will still be there. I mean, looking at my radar right now, I mean, I'm seeing most hail measurements. Well, I know the warning for Williams County mentioned ping pong ball hail potential. But looking at vertically integrated liquid, for the hail cores and stuff like that, not seeing anything too terribly large right now on radar. But I know that threat is certainly there. So yeah, I think wind. I'd be most worried about the wind with these storms as they move into Northwest Ohio eventually.
Yeah, same thing there. So I fixed the stream there a second. I see where some of you guys were saying that you couldn't see the lightning even. So I went full screen and then I backed out of it and you weren't able to see it. So I fixed that. So there's some pretty good lightning starting to show up there a little bit in where they're at. Looks like they're off in a pretty rural location. They seem to be pretty safe where they're at. So again, also we don't condone storm chase. We don't want everybody out there doing it, but these guys have been doing it for a long time and they're kind enough to show us their stream. They're from South Charleston Chasers, so if you want to give them a follow and a like, you're more than welcome to. So that's kind of where things stand for the time being. Obviously, we know we're getting into the overnight hours, so this is going to be, this is kind of an iffy time for people. A lot of people like to go to bed, and a lot of people, we're heavy sleepers. A lot of us are. And we do have some light sleepers like myself, especially when it comes to thunderstorms. I'm up and awake and watching them, but that's not the case for everyone. So that's why we want you to have more than one way to receive warnings. We talked about this a little earlier. You can go to, I've got a Twitter feed set up that will have all the warnings automated for you. You can turn on the notifications for that. You can have a weather radio. There's multiple apps out there. If you need suggestions on what can help you best, please ask us. Any one of us would be more than willing to chip in and give you some suggestions on what would be great. So I do real quick want to touch on the watch again. So I'm going to bring the radar full for just a second here. I do want to kind of touch base on who is in and who is out, just to kind of give a quick refresh and we'll wrap things up. So we'll stop the radar. So this watch was issued, I believe, see if it even gives us the time. It was not issued, but it was issued again within the last hour. If you're north of 70, this is pretty much including you, and even I'd say north of 36 for the most part, this includes you. So again, you've got places from like Portland, Indiana, to Kenton, Ohio, to Mount Vernon, Ohio, to Canton, Ohio, to Youngstown, Ohio, and points north all the way to Lake Erie, all the way up to the Indiana, Ohio, Michigan border. That's kind of where things are. And it is still noted that while we do expect more of a linear fashion, an embedded supercell or two is still possible tonight. For those of you that are watching on Ohio News and Weather or the Mid-Ohio Valley Weather Update, we had a really nasty supercell earlier that dropped accumulating hail to the size of golf balls down in southeast Ohio and West Virginia. So that's what a supercell is. I wouldn't be surprised if we see one or two more of those tonight, but I don't think they're going to be very widespread in nature for the most part. This will definitely be a linear event, which I think is great for us. That helps us out a little bit. And it should also make you guys feel a little bit more at ease. We're not seeing a lot of supercell structures right now anywhere. These are becoming more lines. That's a good thing. If we were seeing more supercells, that hail threat would probably be even higher than where it stands now. So in terms of the Storm Prediction Center, look, I want to touch base on that too, because I know some people are probably wondering where that stands. So we'll touch base on that real quick too. So the Storm Prediction Center, no change in the outlook tonight whatsoever. There's still that enhanced risk, which is that area in orange. It's somewhat rare for our area. We don't see this. We see this maybe a handful of times a year. We're used to the yellow, that slight risk, and even the marginal risk. We see those many more times a year than the enhanced risk. That's really for areas north of I-70. This is where we had the best chance of seeing severe weather. That's not to say those of you in the slight risk in the yellow won't see severe weather. It's just that the better chances reside in the orange area. That's that enhanced risk. That's a level 3 out of 5, so we're kind of on that halfway scale, as Kyle alluded to in his video a little bit earlier today. And then last thing I'll show you is that significant hail potential. The SPC has kind of outlined again near and north of 70, but it does include even places like Columbus over to Wheeling, Salina, Bellefontaine, Findlay, all the way up to Toledo, over to Cleveland. This area has the best chance of seeing hailstones greater than 2 inches in diameter. Again, it's not going to be widespread. I want to make that clear. It's not like everybody in that red area is going to see that tennis ball size hail. It's just going to be those 1 or 2 storms that are really intense and they last for a long time that way. Those would be the ones that produce that really destructive hail. So if you haven't already, maybe get your car indoors. A lot of you have got many, many minutes or hours even before these storms approach you. So any guys want to, I'll kind of toss it back to each and every one of you one at a time if you guys want to add anything else. Otherwise, we can we'll wrap this up for now because we've got a couple warnings that are at least getting close to the area for the time being.
Nick, could you do me one favor? Can you just throw a general track on this moving about 45? Can you just do a general track? It's not going to be exact timing, but it's going to give everybody kind of a little bit of a, hey, how is this going to get to my town? Because we've seen a lot of questions like that. But, and the Storm Prediction Center, I was just reading, they put out a new mesoscale discussion, basically on what we just said. More of a linear threat, severe hail that we could see, and some gusty winds. The tornado threat is decreasing, but it's still possible. Just an isolated tornado event as we head into the overnight hours, but mainly large hail and strong winds as we head into that overnight hours.
Yeah, so there's that track for you, and we'll kind of zoom in a little bit. We'll kind of go bit by bit with this. So we'll kind of start off in northwest Ohio and over towards Kyle Adams. So looking at some of the times of arrival here, let me get that watch box out of the way, and something else here. So we got Fort Wayne coming here at 10:30. You're looking at Defiance, very close to 10:30. Looking at Findlay, closer towards 11 o'clock. Again, this is not going to be an exact time frame. I track this many, many miles out ahead to kind of give you as many minutes or hours in some cases. This is a 2-hour track. So by 11 o'clock, those of you in Findlay, just kind of start watching. You may see some warnings close by or for the county. Just kind of keep an eye out for that. We look at Lima at about 11:10, 11:15. Salina at about 11:15, 11:30 even for you. And again, depending on the speed, that will also kind of determine when these storms kind of get to your locations. Working way off towards the east a little bit, you see it gets over towards Erie, PA at about 10:42. You guys are actually already seeing some storms there on the other side of our area. Cleveland by 11 o'clock, be ready. Some storms could be knocking on your doorstep, actually over in Monroe County. That would likely be the cluster that's coming over towards you, so just be prepared for that. Akron 11:30, Mansfield 11:30. Again, not exact times. I'm not going to track each and every storm, but this at least gives you over the next hour or two when you should begin to kind of just be ready in case a warning is issued for your location. I know a lot of you go to sleep and things like that, but just something to kind of keep an eye on. So hopefully that track answers at least some questions. Again, it's not exact, but I'll leave that on the screen there as well. Kyle, you want to add anything else?
No, I think that looks a lot good. As far as me, I live near the Findlay area, and I'm expecting these storms to be here by about, as you mentioned, 11:30 or so, at least the warnings. And then down eventually towards Lima. I know a lot of people watching here that live in Allen County and Hancock County on this feed. So yeah, again, our window here is going to be between about 11 and I would say 1:30 in the morning. So that's just something to keep in mind. I feel these storms are going to continue to move further southeast and then maybe affect Columbus, Central Ohio more towards like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when more people are going to be sleeping, as you mentioned. So that's a little more worrisome for me. I at least have a little bit of hope that as these storms move into northwest Ohio. Hopefully more people are still up as they move in, but hopefully, as you mentioned earlier, to have a way to get those warnings as well.
Yeah, Zach, I'll toss it over to you real quick and then we'll wrap things up. Anything else you want to add? It looks like, again, lightning really starting to pick up. I'm seeing many more flashes on your stream than what we saw when we started.
Yeah, lightning's definitely starting to pick up. It's pretty much all across the sky, from our left to our right. So we are right at the edge of that warning polygon. So at this point, it's just kind of the waiting game. We're going to let it get a little bit closer until it's not totally safe anymore. We'll retreat to our cars and then probably try to avoid the hail because I'm not trying to, really damage my car. But
you don't want to see any limes fall tonight?
Not particularly.
I hope. Well, I don't hope. Let me rephrase that. I hope you don't see lime-size hail or tennis ball-size hail tonight.
Yeah.
That's 2.5-inch hail, which is not totally out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I'm fine with coming across it after the fact, but I'd like to, stay behind it or just out of the way.
Find that car wash, buddy.
Exactly.
So, all right, guys. Well, again, that was our real quick, just kind of a preview and a reset for you. For those of you watching on Ohio News and Weather, we'll likely have some intermittent coverage over the next hour, as we already have a warning for Williams County. Storms are still a little ways away, and we're also starting to see some warnings creeping up on our Indiana counties. And for those of you on Kyle Adams' page, we'll have some updates there as well. I'm sure he'll be joining me off and on as well. We'll all be here. We all plan on being here through the night as needed, and I know other members of our team will be here through the night as well. We're all here. We're all going to get you safe. We'll keep you safe. We'll get you through this. And we're going to wake up tomorrow, and we're going to hopefully many of you won't even remember these storms came through tonight. And for some of you, depending if they're not even that severe, you might even sleep through them tonight. But have ways to receive warnings, and we'll see you back here after a bit with some more updated severe weather coverage. Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe. And if you happen to be outside, I know it's dark, but I always like to say when thunder roars, get indoors. Have a great night, everybody, and stay safe out there.